Hello, everybody, and welcome to day 45 of the road to 2K on chess.com. Today, we're sitting at 1853 after a nice win yesterday, a pretty quick one. And today, we're going to play a 1951 from the United States. So, we're going to start with e4. This is the first, nearly 2K player we've gotten to play on the series. And oftentimes, these players are going to know their theory pretty well, especially if they're a Sicilian player. So it's going to be interesting. Now, the first thing I notice is after this is a little bit weak. If knight takes, pawn takes, pawn takes, bishop here, they just have knight out. So I think instead we're just going to take the time, maybe develop with bishop e2, and they strike back with d5. Now after d5, I'm more inclined to play knight takes, pawn takes, or what about pawn takes first? Pawn takes, pawn takes. Knight takes, bishop takes. Or maybe we leave it all for just 1 second and we'll castle. And if they take, we're going to take back with the knight. But definitely a tough position. I think I like relieving the pressure with knight takes c6. Let's take once. E captures d5. And they get here. Now, they are threatening to push forward. It's not a fork yet. This is always a move. This is kind of a move. So I think we're just going to play h3 and not allow them to jump into the position. That's also interesting. At some point, we are going to want to break through. I don't know how we do that yet. So let's maybe play rook e1. This comes in, attacking our b pawn. Do we ever just play rook b1, but then queen a5, pawn up? This knight's starting to feel a little bit weak. This bishop is almost hanging. b3 just feels like it weakens our knight too much, with the knight not having any good prospects here. Bishop in. Knight comes in. I don't know. Let's play rook b1. I'll be interested to see in the post game what the better move was there. Our opponent brings the rook in, so now the idea might be to try and sacrifice here at some point. It does almost create some tactics here. None of them quite work yet. But maybe, just maybe, we play bishop d3. I think we're going to go for that. Just trying to solidify, potentially opening up our rook at some point. Kind of a, I don't know. I don't think I've ever had a position like this before. It's very different. It's very, I guess taxing is a way I could put it. Now the pawn comes up. It does look like it hangs this, but it doesn't. If we play bishop here, opponent plays e4. There's a skewer lurking here, but I don't think it works in any sense. So what do we do? Bishop g5, e4, takes, queen takes, knight in. We're going to go for that. Bishop g5. And it might not be the best move, but I don't think it outright blunders anything. So, I don't know. Especially when we're playing these kind of offbeat feeling openings, is we're just going to have to take a risk at some point. Now, I don't particularly want to give up the bishop pair with bishop captures knight, but what other option do we really have? So our opponent pushes d4. If we take, and they take the knight, then takes, pawn takes, knight takes, so pawn takes, bishop takes, knight in, bishop takes, pawn takes, bishop takes, queen takes, pawn takes, queen in, rook, queen, and then maybe push up. Well, we can't push up. So let's snap off the knight. We're definitely entering some complications here. Bishop check. Ooh. What about bishop captures e5? And I think we're winning material here. Because if bishop here, bishop d6, bishop captures, queen captures, bishop captures h7 is check. And that's a discovered attack on the queen. I think they're looking for any kind of like counterplay here. And maybe you have to go queen over. At which point, bishop here. Queen over again. And maybe we also have ideas like queen to h5. But it's moments like this that I'm really glad we're able to take our time. I mean, I'm flabbergasted if we're not winning material here. Because if queen moves, yeah, we take this, and then in what world do we not take the bishop as well? Our opponent tries to trap us. Queen here. G6. Rook takes, queen here. Doesn't quite work. I mean, the idea is I think he wants to try and trap our rook. But what if we just tempo the queen? We don't have back rank issues yet. The queen comes in. Rook to b4 feels strong. The queen comes back. Now a move like queen here feels good. Queen to h5. g6. Queen, rook captures bishop, takes, or takes. Or we could just go after this pawn, which is also very, very weak. This pawn is hanging. We could also just come up into the position. Yeah, let's play rook b to b7. We've definitely burnt a ton of time here. But I have faith in our position. I mean, it feels really strong. I don't necessarily see the downside to how we're playing. Now the idea here is there's probably a check. I'm just going to play queen to f3. And if bishop here, we slide over. We have 2 minutes. So if we're going to make something happen, we do have to make it happen now. And there might even be queen to e4 ideas. Takes, takes. King over. If check, obviously the king runs up. Now takes. That threatens here. Oh, it threatens up here too. That's not good. Maybe bishop e4 to hold on to everything, or to try. We're going to lose this piece, aren't we? And have we lost our whole advantage? Not quite. We have rook captures b7. And we might have a tactic here, if I can play it right. I'm looking at bishop to d5 as my next move. Bishop to d5 threatens queen captures f7 check. That's an easy move. We're going to go right here. And our opponent does go for that. Maybe queen up. And bishop takes. If rook takes, rook up. And we are winning the endgame. So let's go here. Our opponent is really kind of forced to take, I think. And I'm going to focus in here because I do not want to blow this game. Yep, I'm not messing around with this one. We're just going to go ahead and promote. And that's another win. We beat a 1950. What a game. What a game. Oh my gosh. All right, let's go ahead. Let's look at the game review. All right, today we played at a 90.6 and our opponent played with an 83.9. E4, C5, knight F3, knight C6. This is all theory. Bishop E3. Bishop E2 is slightly wrong. It wants us to play G4, which, sorry guys, I don't know if I'm playing G4 at any point in that position. The engine did want us to take this pawn right away, which we did not. Alas, we castled. They played knight F6, knight captures C6, B captures, E captures, and we get into this position here. Now H3 is fine. We are a little bit worse, and after castles, rook E1, rook B8, rook B1, we're definitely not doing ourselves any favors, and we've already essentially lost a pawn according to the engine. Now after queen C7, bishop D3, and E5, we did find the best move with bishop to G5. Our opponent played D4, and we found the best move with bishop captures F6, ignoring this. After our opponent took, we found bishop captures E5, which wins material. And what I was talking about here is if our opponent were to block with D6, we can play bishop takes, which is a fork of the two pieces. If your opponent takes with the queen, we have bishop captures H7, king captures, and then queen captures here. And this should just be a dead winning position. There's really no excuse to lose this one. But our opponent was a little bit more creative. They played queen to B6, bishop captures B8, queen captures, and rook captures E7, winning material. So here what we had to do was kind of calm our nerves and say, hey, we're up material. We're playing a much higher rated opponent. So let's see what we can do. Is bishop E6 locks our rook. Excuse me, we captured the pawn. Queen to F4, rook B4, tempoing the queen, and queen to F6. This is where we burnt way too much time. We ended up playing rook B to B7, which was correct. So at least our time utilization was correct in picking the right move. Queen to G5, queen F3, bishop D5. And we just did not see this fork. We did play bishop to E4, and after takes, we actually capture back with the rook. After queen C1, king H2, queen G5, the idea we were setting up with bishop to D5 is, let's say our opponent plays A5. We have queen captures pawn. Obviously, if king moves to the corner, this is checkmate. If not, in rook captures, this is a really common tactic where the bishop pins whatever piece takes. We play rook in, queen back, and rook captures D8. So instead, we played queen to F4 to keep the threat alive. And it does say already that we can just go for this trade into the endgame. We did see it after H6 is we went for it with rook captures F7. Bishop captures is more forcing because you can go here, queen captures, rook captures, king up, and then enter the same endgame that we did. But alas, rook captures, bishop captures, queen captures. And this is more just a calculation exercise. Is I knew that we'd be able to promote faster than our opponent. We sacked the queen because there's no way to stop us here. And not wanting to mess around, we quickly promoted. Now, something I like to do, especially when I'm pre-moving or moving fast, is I almost always will promote my second piece to a rook. Primarily because if we go to a queen, and our opponent gets into the right position. So let's say here, and they run, and they run, and they run, is if we get here and we're moving too fast, this is a stalemate. Now, fortunately, yeah, this is a stalemate. So we have to make sure that we don't get into this position. And for that reason, I promote to a rook. Because the rook will always cut off this diagonal until it is on the correct square, to which it is checkmate. So we see here, we get into the position, we win. Chess.com says we played at a 2400 level and our opponent played at a 2000 level. So it's nice to have a few days in a row where we've gotten some wins, and we're all the way back up to 1863 after taking quite a spill in the beginning of the series. So I want to thank everybody for watching. If you have any comments on my gameplay, definitely leave something down below. Go ahead and like the video if you enjoyed this. And then finally, check to make sure that you're subscribed. It helps you to make sure that you don't miss any future days or future content of mine. And I will see you guys on the next day.